got your Whyte versus Hughie Fury in talks for a Galway clash this summer, okay? So that would be in Ireland, okay? Shout out to the people in Galway, okay? Shout out to Barry Hanley in the building. Listen, this obviously tells me that Dillian Whyte is not in that circle of Turkey's best guys, or in that circle at all, because you're fighting guys like that. Okay, I gave you a pass with Christian Hammer, a durable fighter, German fighter. You know, he quit in 6 to 7 rounds. You know, Dillian got a chance to come back, which is understandable. Then came Teta, Ebenezer Teta. You know, was a pretty good fighter. And I mean, again, it was another fight which he ended up quitting, another opponent that quit. Now we have Hughie Fury. And I'm thinking, okay, Hughie Fury is a guy, cousin of Tyson Fury and Tommy Fury and all those other Furies. But, you know, you're looking at a lot of these tune-up fights. You got to ask yourself, at what point does Dillian Whyte step up? You know what I mean? Is this just the level he's on? Which, if that's the level he's on, okay, then there's nothing else much to say. You know what I mean? Because what he's showing us is, you know, he's not trying. I don't know if I don't know. I know he manages fighters, and you would think a guy that's a boxer, you know, and still competes and then manages, you know, he would be able to, you know, be in some good graces with Turki Al-Sheikh at some point of time. But, you know, this here is just like, I feel this is beneath Dillian Whyte. I hope it doesn't get made, because Hughie Fury, that's the same silly son of a bitch that ducked Michael Hunter and had Michael Hunter waiting around for him with his illness and all that shit. And then, you know, then the fight was postponed, and then it was postponed again. Then it didn't happen. So, you know, yeah, I don't really respect Hughie Fury. You know what I mean? I just don't. You know, I think he's a watered, poor man's Tyson Fury anyhow. And I love his father. Peter Fury's the shit, but his son is trash. Okay? That's how I feel about Hughie. I mean, because the shit that he does, you know, and what he did to Michael, which is, you know, I consider a good guy. You know, he ran him through the ringer, and, you know, and then, you know, kind of led him on and, you know, bullshitted him, you know, and then for him to fight, you know, Dillian Whyte, for you to take that as an opponent is, you know, that's trash. It's a trash move. You know what I mean? Because someone like Hughie Fury, he's going to move around a lot. You know, it was, you know, that type of shit. You know, you don't want to deal with that, you know, and I guess he can, hey, I can't beat Tyson, so I'm going to beat his watered down ass, underrated cousin Hughie. That's great, Dillian. You know, what else can you give us? You know, let's get a Luis King Kong Ortiz. Let's get a, you know, even a Derek Chisora trilogy would be better than that, because Derek is on top of the world, which I doubt at this point he'll give him the opportunity. But, you know, that would be even better. You know, shit, a rematch with Jermaine Franklin would be better than that. You know, with Hughie Fury, and he's just, you know, he's a guy that's, you know, mediocre. You know, he'll fight anyone, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I mean, it's just too, you know, these bullshit fights that Dillian's been involved in. It's time for him to step up. Now, if he's trying, more power to you, and I wish you well. But, you know, talking a deal with Hughie, you know, just to stay busy, you know, I think he needs to really up the ante. You know, contact Turki Al-Sheikh. Jarrell Miller would be a good fight. But, you know, of course, he is finalizing supposedly a deal with Fabio Wardley in England. So, you know, there's fights that could be made, man. You know, better fights than Hughie fucking Fury. But you guys tell me what you think of Dillian Whyte and Hughie Fury. Ian are looking at a possible fight in Galway, Ireland. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.